Before I say anything, I'd like to thank a very talented man called David Randall. His music really helped inspire me and aided in the making of this video. A link to his music will be in the description, along with Clicks Philip, who gave me the idea to discuss my experience with sleep. I don't think I'm alone when I say sleep is a tricky thing to get right. I've always struggled with it, my sleep cycle is terrible and circadian rhythm is always out of sync. I've tried the obvious, counting, going to bed earlier, going to bed later, sleeping tablets, even not sleeping at all, hoping I'll be so tired the next night that I'll drift off easier, consequentially arriving at college late, groggy and unable to function, or sometimes just not turning up at all. So yeah, sleep and I really aren't good friends, more like we're in a stale, abusive marriage, always arguing, constantly struggling for control, and something I've yet to divorce. I also realise my experiences are, for the most part, very subjective. This isn't going to be an informational or factual video, it's simply an account of my experiences with sleep, and maybe some of you can relate to that. However, I realise trying to explain the highly subjective and plain weird phenomena I sometimes experience is about as easy to vocalise as explaining the idea of clickbait to my mother. One thing that's always fascinated me, and most likely you considering you clicked this video, is dreams. Our own private little playground, or unfortunate nightmarish hell. I don't often remember my dreams, usually only just as I wake up thinking, wow, that was weird, and then completely forgetting about it. Although I do distinctly remember the first dream I ever had, or at least as early as my young memory will allow. I was in a cave, alone, it was very dark, although I distinctly remember one of those portable toilets you often find at building sites. My mind is a very weird place, until I realised, hey, I'm dreaming, cool, and then I woke up. I'm not sure if this counts as lucid dreaming, but it is the first dream I can remember having, and coincidentally the first dream I was actually aware I was dreaming. I feel that, at least in my experience, you have your most vivid and memorable dreams at a younger age. I can always remember the awe-inspiring and terrifying dreams I had as a child, but now, at nearly 20 years old, I can barely remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what my subconscious mind was putting on show for me last night, but as we'll discuss, there have been exceptions. As of writing the script only a few days ago, I can probably remember my last dream. I was in a coloured hamster ball, probably red, having to chase others down a series of tubes to eventually reach the end, and the person I was chasing to generate a really relaxing and calming sensation, almost like water slowly rising over my body. Yes, I do realise some people would call that drowning. Now, dreams really make sense. The reason I so vividly remember this dream as opposed to the countless hundreds I've probably forgotten prior is the use of what some people call a sleep diary. It was suggested to me by a friend. She'd recommended it as a way of remembering your dreams better. Now, this sleep diary, or book of nightmares, you can choose what to call it, works best if you use it just as you wake up and the dream is fresh in your memory. Now, if anyone is like me, they'll know the struggle of sitting upright first thing in the morning, or afternoon in some cases, let alone writing coherent sentences. Oh, and one other important note. I found it's far easier to use if it's close by to where you sleep, like a bedside table or shelf that you can easily reach in your sleep-drunken state. Regardless, I've managed to use it a few times in the past few months, frantically scribbling down the musings of my unconscious mind, either involving me dying in a horrible way, someone else dying in a horrible way, or an uncannily vivid lucid dream I had where I was playing as a counter-terrorist in CSGO. I do fear that one day if someone reads this unlabeled book of mine that sits on my bedside table, I'll be considered mentally ill. At best. Anyway, this sleep diary, I really recommend it to anyone who's interested in better remembering and understanding their dreams. I always found it fun to find it one afternoon, completely forgetting about what it actually is, and then taking a quick read through and really questioning my mental state. One thing that I really struggle to do, well, apart from the actual sleeping thing, is connecting the dots between what my dream was about and the experience I must have had recently to actually trigger that specific dream. Was it a song I'd listened to recently? Maybe a game I played, or a book I'd read, or God forbid that it was that one time I actually went outside. One way I've been told time and time again works for figuring out if you're dreaming, and thus helping trigger a lucid dream, is counting your fingers. And it might work for other people, sure, as I've seen, but it never seems to work for me. From what I can remember, I either am aware enough to count them, and then regardless of how many there might have been, my mind just accepts it as perfectly normal. Or 9 times out of 10, I'm just not compass mentis enough in my dreams to actually start counting them. Or maybe I did, I can't remember. Anyway, to conclude, my dreams are weird, but nonetheless an interesting topic to look at under a subjective light. Maybe I'll talk about them more in depth in the future, who knows. I apologise for my voice changing midway through the video. I just recovered from a cold and was just too lazy to re-record and edit the first half. Maybe in the future I'll become more determined to go over my videos at, say, around 100 subscribers. Who knows?